This conference will now be recorded.
So this is part two of the presentation that we began yesterday. And this is a continuation of the talk that we were having regarding business, forming a business, how to organize your business, the who, what, where, when, and all the details in terms of how do I organize. And we talked about different kinds of corporations and what might be the optimal, and going to your bank and opening up your bank account, and either going to the bank and getting your taxpayer ID number, or doing that online with the IRS, forming your corporation on your state, corporate website. Really all of those kinds of details were in part one of this presentation. So in part two, we're going to continue. And so here we go with part two. And so talking about forming a business versus running a successful business, because there is a difference between the two. Anyone can start a business, but not everybody can run a successful business. And we do want to be successful in the efforts of building our practice, building our business, building a patient base, building a client base. That's the goal, that's the objective. So in business growth and building, one of the things that we have at our disposal now is we can leverage social networking quite a number of ways. It can be from our own website, and a lot of advantages to a website, one of them being that there's crucial information that we can give about ourselves on a website. We can have photos, we can have video, we can have other kinds of information. We can put a resume up, any of that kind of thing. But we can also put our hours. We can do the services that we provide to people. Another really good aspect of a website is that we can put our forms there. And so if we have forms that patients have to fill out before they show up at our office, we can save time by directing our patients or clients to a page where they can download those forms. They can complete them either online, or they can print them off and fill them out and bring them into the office, and that can save a lot of time in the intake process with a patient or with a client. So there's a lot of advantages to a website, but not everybody wants a website, or the costs of a website, or the responsibility of maintaining a website. So for many of them, they go to Facebook or some other social networking platform. I have up here on this slide LinkedIn, but I really do consider it pretty much useless for social networking with patients and clients. I see LinkedIn as more of a platform for communicating with other professionals that have LinkedIn pages, but not so much for building your practice in terms of massage therapy, personal training, holistic healthcare. I don't see it as being as valuable. Several times during this presentation, we have talked about a referral network. I think that's very important. Communicating with other professionals in the field, maybe that do related things to you, or with physicians. Orthopedic physician may need somebody that's working with somebody that has arthritis. Various types of specialties. Somebody, pulmonologist, for example, might be working with somebody that can do cardiovascular work with a patient. Maybe an oncologist has patients that are looking to do some complementary healthcare along with their medical cancer treatment. So again, identifying physicians that are willing to work with you, that are willing to refer patients to you, can be very beneficial. One of the things that you can do as well is you can organize different events or work with other people on major events. This could be things like different kinds of runs, groups that are involved in biking. Any kind of event that's health related or sports related would be a benefit to a massage therapist or a personal trainer or a holistic healthcare person. and also attending different types of sports events and offering services or passing out information like business cards or brochures or flyers or things like this. Different types of health events that are held in your community. I think probably for anyone that's in personal training or massage and holistic healthcare should attend as many different types of sporting events or different types of health events as possible. I think they're very beneficial, and it's a great way to build up a client list or a patient list to capture information. I mean, certainly when you go to these different events, you should be capturing people's names, getting their email addresses, if they're willing to give you their cell phone number, their address, or anything like this. One way to do that is to have some type of a giveaway in which people have to register for it. And to register, they have to give you that information, whatever information you would like. Certainly, one of the cheapest ways to communicate with people is through their email, putting together an email list and then putting that on something like Constant Contact, where you can send out, notifications and information to people on a regular basis, just to keep yourself and your practice and what you do in their minds from time to time. Again, can be very beneficial in terms of how you are building and growing your practice. Another thing that's important is to always seek referrals. And that doesn't necessarily mean what it sounds like. That, for instance, when I have a client or I have a patient, I say, by the way, would you refer people to me? That can be a little bit too direct for many people. But there's many ways to seek referrals. For example, let's say I'm a personal trainer and I'm working with somebody, and they have, maybe they're coming in for rehab. They're trying to lose weight, and maybe that's related to cardiovascular issues that they have, or perhaps they're having low back problems, and their muscles are flaccid, and they got too much body fat, and they're looking to deal with that, to address that. And in talking with them, you just share that you work with a lot of people on this issue, and talking to them maybe about their family. They may have siblings, they may have parents, they may have children that have similar issues, and just saying something like, well, wouldn't it be good if your brother was doing what you're doing, or your sister was doing what you're doing? And that's a way of seeking a referral. It's a way of planting in their head the idea that, oh yeah, maybe I should mention this to my brother or my sister, that this would be good for them as well, that they should do this. So there are ways to seek referrals. There's other ways to seek it as well, and that is in another business talk, I talk about making your walls talk. And we don't mean that your walls will actually talk, but what we mean is that you've put up posters and on your walls, and the posters are educating people about different kinds of health conditions. It could be, obesity. It could be diabetes. And your walls are basically talking and telling people what it is you do and what it is you work with. For instance, if you're a medical massage therapist and you're working with somebody because they have, headaches, they may not think that you also work in, maybe perhaps rehabilitating somebody's knee or hip issue. They may not connect that. And it may not be them that have that additional problem, but it may be one of their relatives or a friend or a coworker that has that. So that's a way of seeking a referral, is by using your walls or other information, or even your Facebook posts, for example, or your website, to really explain to people all the different things that you do, the kinds of clients that you work with, the kind of patients that you work with. We're always looking for ways to be able to do that. What you should do every single day is set aside time in which you spend a few minutes a day, whatever amount of time that you can afford, to set aside, in which you're working on something that has something to do with marketing and promoting your practices and your services. That should happen every single day. It can happen at the beginning of the day before you start. It can happen during the day on a break, or it can happen on the end of the day. But every single day you're putting something out there. If you are going to do Facebook, for example, it's very important that you're posting every day, and in some cases even more than one time a day. If you are on Facebook currently, you know how it works. You post something, and throughout the hours or day, it just kind of moves down people's pages depending on how many friends they have, and they may not see a post. If you are posting once every several days, may not ever see it. Or even if you post every day, once a day, they may not see that. You may have to go back in and reshare a post just to bring it to the top of their feed so that they can see that. So you want to be consistent with whatever you're doing. You want to have a plan for what you're going to do. And you want to make certain that you set aside every single day, sometime every single day, to be able to do some marketing for your practice. The other part of this that is really very important and is also often overlooked is make certain that you can be easily reached by patients and or clients. This may sound really, simple, very basic, but the number of professionals that are very difficult to reach, and the harder you are to reach and the less responsive you are, the more people get discouraged. If it's a new client or a new patient trying to reach you and they can't get you within whatever time frame they feel is appropriate, they're going to move on. They're going to call somebody else in order to be able to connect with somebody and to be able to schedule an appointment and begin whatever it is that their objectives are in terms of contacting you to begin with. So I have like a 20-minute rule, and that is that if I'm busy and I miss a call, or text or whatever, however people are trying to reach out to me, that I try to make sure that I'm contacting them within 20 minutes. My personal feeling is that if you can't do it within that time frame, you probably lost that opportunity or that connection. In many cases, that's true. A few years back, in one of the massage classes, I came in and I was telling the students and doing the business talk, and I was telling them that it was just so hard to reach massage therapists. They just didn't answer their phones. And that's very true. It's still true now. It's very difficult to reach a lot of massage therapists. One of the reasons for that is when they go into these sessions, and we're especially talking about people doing relaxation massage or therapeutic massage, for that hour that they're in that session, they're not going to answer their phone. In medical massage, and I'm going way back now, years ago, this is before cell phones, and I had a pager. I had a pager on vibrate, and I would be in with a patient, and I would be treating a patient, and my vibrator would go off, and I would excuse myself from the patient when it was appropriate to do so. Could be immediate, depending on where I was in the treatment. I could have just applied a therapeutic modality like a heat lamp or a cold pack or something, and I could step aside for a few minutes, and I would return that phone call. And then later, when cell phones came, I got a cell phone and I put it on vibrate, and calls would come through, and then I could look to see who was calling me. And if I didn't recognize the name, most likely it was a new patient that was trying to schedule an appointment. And because I'm doing medical massage and I'm treating patients, I can step aside and I can take a call. If I was doing relaxation massage, that would be considered to be, a really big no-no. You can't do that because you interrupt the flow of the massage. In medical massage, I'm not worried about that as much. And certainly when I finish a certain technique or I finish working on a body region, I can step away for a few moments. I can take a call. I can call back that new client. I can tell them that I'm currently with a patient. And as soon as I'm done, I give them a time frame. I can ask them, will you be available in 30 minutes? And maybe they say yes, or maybe they say, call me at this time, whatever. At least I've made contact with that person, because I can guarantee you that if it's somebody that's just calling around trying to find a personal trainer, trying to find a massage therapist. They don't have a specific referral. They're just kind of going through, they pulled up, they Googled massage therapy, and there's a list of names, and they're just going through them one after another. You're going to lose that person because if they can't reach you and they end up in your voicemail, what they're going to do is just go down the list and call the next person. And if that person happens to answer, that's probably the person they're going to make the appointment with. So it's very important that your responses to people are very timely. One of the things that I instituted a long time ago in my businesses is I have an answering service. And you can go with an answering service, or if you actually Google, you can actually find companies that will schedule for you. They actually maintain your schedule. They have your schedule. They know your hours. They know when you stop and start in the day, what days you work, and they will actually schedule your clients or your patients for you. But I use an answering service. So if I can't catch the phone after, I think it's 8 rings, then it goes to the answering service. And that way, people are talking to a real person. I know that not all answering services are great. A business mentor of mine recommends that you change answering services about every 3 months. They always start out wonderfully, and then once they think they got your business, they start perhaps not to answer the calls as quickly, or they're not as friendly as they should be. And so, however, I will admit that I've been with the same answering service now for years. Couldn't tell you how many years, but it could be 10 years. They are not the best. I am well aware of that. But I've also used several, and at some point, they all get to be not so good. And so I stuck with this one, and at least when people call, if we're not answering the phone, because I mean, people can call us. I mean, if you look at when our calls come through, they come through all hours of the day and night. And we can't be there answering our telephone. I can't. I mean, you can have calls coming to your cell phone, but are you going to answer it at 2 a.m.? Or are you going to answer, 5 a.m. on Sunday morning? So that's why I have them going to an answering service, so that they're talking to a real person. I find that if it goes into voicemail, you lose a lot of those calls. And I think you work really hard to get people to reach out to you, to call you. And there's a limited number of opportunities that any practice or business is going to have, and you want to maximize as much as you possibly can that you're going to actually be able to connect with people, have a conversation with them, and hopefully get them in your schedule, and to become either your personal training client, or a medical massage patient, or a holistic healthcare patient. You want to capture as many of these people as you possibly can and bring them into your practice, because that's how you build a practice. When you're successful in treating these people and building a relationship, that's how you get referrals, and that feeds your practice. And so you never look at an individual as, well, that's just one person, I'm too busy right now. I mean, literally every person that you connect with and that you work with is a link to dozens, if not hundreds, of other potential patients or clients, and you have to look at it that way. You also should never look at a patient or a client visit as simply one visit, and I don't know what you're charging, $65, $85, $100, and that's $65 in revenue, or $85 in revenue, or $100 in revenue, and that's it. No, what you actually look at is, how much income will I generate from this patient or client over a period of weeks, months, and years? And then when you start looking at that, that means that one single client actually represents hundreds or thousands of dollars in income to your business or to your practice. And you really have to have that understanding clearly fixed in your head, because that makes every single person, from a financial perspective, from a business perspective, in terms of generating revenue, very important, because that's a lot of income coming in over a period of time. So keep that perspective. So make certain that you can be easily reached by patients and clients. So as we continue with this, this is just basically adding on to what I just said. Make certain that your phone is always answered. And I gave you some ideas for how to do that. One of the things I used to tell my patients when they came in is, I'm going to be in a meeting, at a certain time, or I'm expecting a certain patient to call and it's an emergency. I'd come up with some kind of a story regarding why I may need to step out of the room to have that phone call. And, if you do it professionally, if you're upfront with people, I did have a person complain once, and I said, when you called me to make an appointment, I was in the middle of a treatment. And, when it was appropriate, I stepped out for a second, answered your call, and then followed up with you. And I said, I'm working with people that are in pain and suffering, people that need care. And so it's very important for me to be available to these people. I know you want me to be available to you. I have to be available to my other patients as well. So that's one way in which to have a conversation with people so that they will understand that you need to do that. Now, this particular slide here is about a company that basically will schedule for you. And so, once again, this is one way of handling this. I personally prefer to talk to everybody myself. I would begin building a relationship with people right on the telephone from the very first call. For example, I might have somebody that called me and they were working out or whatever, they sprained their ankle, and they want to come in and have me check it out for them. If you're a personal trainer, they want to know what exercises to do. If you're a medical massage therapist, what they're looking for is treatment. And I might suggest to them right on the phone, first of all, have them tell you a little bit about it, make sure that it's not broken, determine whether or not they need to go get an x-ray. And let's say that's not the case. And so, I might suggest to them that what they need to do is to elevate it and to put some ice on it for a while. And then come and see me at 2:00 that afternoon. That is something else, by the way, that I think is really important is a lot of massage therapists, personal trainers, people holistic healthcare, they want to run their schedule for their own convenience. Gee, I've been really busy today. I'm a little bit tired. I really don't want to see another patient today. So I do have room. I can see you in 3 days. Well, if I'm in pain, 3 days is a long time to wait to come in. My recommendation is that if people are having anxiety about a condition, healthcare condition, if people are in pain or discomfort, get them in right away. Get them in that same day, even if you have to stay in your office an extra hour or whatever it's going to take to bring these people in. Even if you have to give up a lunch hour and just snacks between patients for the rest of the afternoon, whatever you have to do to bring people in. Again, I'm going to reflect back to the fact that every single patient or client is worth more than that one visit to you. In other words, worth more than the income of that one visit to you. What they are worth literally is hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's just that one patient. And what if they make referrals? Now we're really magnifying the amount of income that can be generated just by building one relationship in your personal training practice or your massage practice or your holistic healthcare practice. So you really need to have that perspective. So you need to get that perspective and always keep that foremost in your mind. So, but this is a way here using scheduling. And if you feel that you need to do something like that to get scheduled, that's good. I will tell you personally, I prefer to talk to everybody myself. And that way I know who they are. I know why they're coming in. And I know whether I need to perhaps get them in sooner for some reason. So yes. So I talked a little bit earlier. I talked about Facebook, and I do believe that Facebook is very helpful. And here is a page that we have for the Heron Academy on Facebook. I see here that it says we do massage, so massage education. We do martial arts. We have a personal training program. Perhaps down here somewhere as well, I don't see it on here, holistic healthcare. I don't think we put this in here. I think Facebook might have done that for us, determining what it is we do. But at any rate, you know, you want a nice photo, eye-catching photo. Of course, on Facebook, you can post all kinds of things, including videos. So you really have a lot of ways in which to communicate to people. I already said that I think you need to be posting multiple times per day if you have a Facebook page. And in addition to that, whenever you do a post, you have the option of boosting that post. Now, boosting simply means you're going to advertise on Facebook. I find it very beneficial. For example, let's say you've had your Facebook page up for a while. You've got a number of likes, and the people that like your page and follow your page, they fit a certain demographic profile. And Facebook analyzes that profile. And what you can do when you boost or you advertise on Facebook is that Facebook can instantaneously direct your advertising at people that meet the exact demographic of the people that have liked your page or are following your page, meaning that you're reaching people with the same interests as the people that are your clients, or that are your patients. And so, but what that's doing is that's actually you're going out beyond the people that have liked or followed your page, and now you're reaching hundreds or thousands of other people who have the same interests and characteristics as the people that have already liked your page. And so that's a very targeted kind of advertising that you can do through Facebook. Facebook advertising can be as little as a few dollars a day. You don't have to spend a lot to reach several hundred or several thousand people a day on Facebook. It's very economical advertising, and it's highly effective. So I recommend Facebook advertising. Now, when you do it, you're either going to do a photo. You wouldn't want to try to boost something like this picture here. There's too many words, and it's not all that interesting, actually. So what you do is you do some type of a photo. If you're a holistic health practitioner, it could be a photo of somebody consulting with somebody sitting at a table. It could be a photo of fruits and vegetables. It can be anything like that. If you're a massage therapist, it's a photo of somebody getting a massage. If you're a personal trainer, it's a photo of you training somebody, working with someone. Things that directly relate to you, to your practice, to your business, that are showing in a picture really what you do. So in other words, the picture's worth, 10,000 words. And so you're using that photo. And then very few words with that, because people aren't going to read a lot of stuff. And so that's what you boost. It's just a very short message. It's a photo. Now, it can also be a video. You can also use a series of photos and do a slideshow on Facebook. And so there's a lot of different options. It's really very easy to do and to learn how to do. Facebook guides you through it step by step. If you need to work with a Facebook consultant, you can contact them or they will contact you. When they see you starting to advertise, they will reach out to you and they'll try to help you spend more money. And they'll also try to help you make your ads more effective. So again, this is one avenue that I highly recommend. The other one, of course, is Google. So if you do have a website, if you want to do Google advertising, now Google is effective. There's no doubt about it. It's more expensive. It's more of a commitment. And basically what Google does is that it moves you towards the top of the list. For instance, if somebody wants a personal trainer in Grand Rapids, And so they type in Google and they type in personal trainer Grand Rapids. If you're paying Google, for advertising, you're going to either be number one on the page or you're going to be somewhere on that first page. What you don't want to do is be 3 pages down with everybody else ahead of you, because then it's just a complete waste of time to be that far, because most people, they do this on their cell phones and they pop up maybe 1-2 pages max, and that's it. And then they move on. So if you do choose to do Google advertising, it's more expensive than Facebook. I actually do both, have done both for years. I find Facebook just as effective for less money, maybe more effective than Google. But I will also admit that it's very helpful to be number one or number 2 or number 3 on a page. Now, if you Google Blue Heron Academy and, like personal training schools in Grand Rapids, massage schools in Grand Rapids, holistic healthcare Grand Rapids, chances are we're going to be number 1. And that's because we spend several $1,000s a month on Google advertising in order to have that position. Occasionally, there'll be somebody else that will pop up there on top. And that's because they are spending a little bit. In most cases, they're not spending what we are. They're spending a little bit. And maybe their budget for the day is like, I don't know, maybe they're spending $10 a day, where, we're spending $100 a day. And so that $10 may give them one click, and they're no longer at the top of the page. So the amount of money that you spend with Google, how long you've been with Google, and the Blue Heron Academy has been with Google for, I don't know, close to 30 years. That all determines how Google places you on a page. But if you're only spending very little money with Google, it's quite possible that a click is $10. And so if you're $10 a day, you get one click. And you're kind of hoping, I guess, that person is serious and that they actually look at your website and call you, because most people will click, look at your website, and be gone in about 5 seconds. So they move on. So I just want to give you that heads up. And again, I guess I lean much more towards Facebook than I do towards Google, even though I spend several $1,000s a month on Google, and spend less on Facebook, and I find it more effective. So it's kind of interesting. So this is something else that I do that I found helpful. I do a lot of writing. I think that if you're in holistic healthcare and clinical nutrition and herbal medicine and medical massage and rehabilitation, if you're doing personal training and you're conditioning people, you're running group classes, you're doing all these different things, I think it's kind of a natural thing to do, to write materials about what you do, even if it's just a booklet, instruction booklet, or something for your patients. And there's this platform, and it's called Issue. And they do have free pages, but I think I spend something like $30 a month for a professional page. And on this page, I have something like 30 free books and booklets, instructional manuals, that are on the Issue page. And so these are all free. Now, I have another couple hundred products that are sold through our websites, but these are all free. And, people can go here, they can download these things free. And there's stuff on there on, for instance, like inflammation and aging, diverticulitis, diverticulosis. There's training stuff on the martial arts, on Tai Chi, all of that kind of thing. And so really whatever you write, you can put on here on this platform, but you could also put on here a promotional flyer or brochure regarding your practice or your business, instructions for your patients before they come to your office. Literally anything in print can be put on Issue. I also tell you that it is a great free platform for magazines if you just like to read different kinds of magazines. Holistic healthcare, personal training, massage therapy, whatever, they're all on here and they're all free. So even if you just use this to read free material, there's a ton of really good stuff that is on Issue. But you can also use this for your own, for your own business. It can be linked directly to your website. People can go from your website to there. I frequently post the link to specific periodicals that I've written on my Facebook pages, and so you can do that as well. But I think it's a great way to communicate with your patients. So that's issue. So offer training classes and programs for your clients and patients. I've been doing this for 40 years. The Blue Heron Academy actually started with classes by offering and providing classes to the public, and then grew out of that into the school that it is today. And so I've offered, classes for a fee over the years, but I've also made sure that I'm offering classes in which they're free to the community. In this particular class, this was a Kempo karate class. That's Chris Holmes there, and he's teaching this class a few years ago. And we were doing mixed martial arts. We have our mats down there on the floor, teaching mixed martial arts along with Kempo and self-defense. So, and it was a free class, and it was largely for minority kids and immigrant children and refugees. But also for many years, I was conducting classes for my patients. And so, patients would come in, they would get treatment, they get rehab, perhaps through, medical massage or medical manual therapy. And then I realized, though, the importance of exercise and rehab is critical in terms of rehabilitating people, to have an exercise plan. And so I started offering group classes in order to work with people with arthritis or fibromyalgia or heart disease, balance issues, you name it, and offering free classes just as an adjunct to my practice. And what it did is my patients would go into this, and what it did is it kind of created a lot of practice loyalty among my patients, because they were also part of a group. The group was like a little community. But there were also people that came into the classes that later became my patients. So it really worked in both directions. And even though the classes were free, it actually built and sustained my practice, and that was not free. So I think that it's very good idea to offer training classes and programs, whether it's educational programs, holistic healthcare or wellness or fitness, or whether it's activity classes. So another way in which to build your business. So the other thing that we often did, and this is another group here, we've got a group of kids, inner city kids and immigrant children and refugees, part of an outing that we did. And so to host special events and outings and retreats. And for a long time at the Academy, at least 3 times a year, we were doing retreats. And we would have, at a retreat, we'd have 100 or more students at a retreat. And these retreats would be up north. Usually we'd fill up several resorts. So we'd find resorts that were located close to each other. We did all the activities at one main resort, had a large house with a fireplace. We could bring everybody together there. We shared meals. We did educational classes all weekend. We had plenty of time, free time for people to go out and to hike, to bike, to canoe, to whatever they wanted to do. And what this did is, this actually, again, this is community building. And it's like I mentioned before about doing the group classes, that builds a community. And this built and really strengthened and brought people together in really meaningful relationships through this community building effort that we were doing at that time. So this is something else that I highly recommend. If you're a personal trainer, why not take people out somewhere for a day or for several days and train outdoors? There's plenty of times a year when that's a heck of a lot of fun. And I will say that at the Academy, we were doing that as well, indoor and outdoor activities all year round, including winter activities. So there's no reason that it has to stop just because of the winter. So anyway, so consider that as another way in which to build your practice by building community, a sense of community. So now we're going to look at just briefly a little bit at patient and client management, because it does pertain to having a successful practice. There's some things that by law we must do and other things that we should do. So we're going to look at that. I will say about this that I do give a much more detailed presentation on this particular topic in another talk, and that will be posted before long. So, but anyway, let's just look at this a little bit together. So first of all is confidentiality. And it really doesn't make any difference at all, what you're doing, whether it's medical massage, medical manual therapy, Scandinavian mobilization therapy, holistic healthcare, acumyotherapy, personal training. It doesn't make any difference. There is both an ethical and a moral responsibility for professionals, and legal, I should add, legal responsibility to maintain client or patient confidentiality. Now, we call this HIPAA, and a lot of people get confused about what HIPAA is. People think that HIPAA is a law where if you break it, you get like a ticket or a misdemeanor or something like that. And no, that's not true. What HIPAA is, it's a Patients' Right Act. It's a federal act. And if you look down at the bottom here, the HIPAA Act of 1996 has set strict standards regarding a patient's protected health information. And it's part of the privacy rule regulations for the federal government. And so what this does is that if you violate a client or a patient's confidentiality, under federal law, that client has the right to sue you civilly. So in other words, it's not a crime where you're prosecuted by your local prosecutor and maybe fined or put in jail. What it is your patient, if you violate their confidentiality, they can sue you civilly. Now, if you are a corporation, as we talked about early in the program, they can sue the corporation. They may even end up owning your corporation as a result of a confidentiality violation. So don't violate a patient's confidence. So there are a number of programs. If you want to know more about HIPAA, either attend my biomedicine class when I'm talking about that, or go to one of the HIPAA schools online. There's a number of online programs, credits, continuing education, webinars that are available on HIPAA if you really want more information on that. I think that for a personal trainer, medical massage therapist, holistic healthcare practitioner, acumyotherapist, just knowing, don't share patient or client information, keep it all confidential, is enough. If you've got records, for patients, which you have to have, so you have patient records, they should be kept under lock and key. So somebody breaks into your office or your training center or your clinic, they can't just walk off with them. So keep things under lock and key, keep things confidential. Don't backbite and gossip about your clients or your patients. Just keep things quiet. So every practitioner is going to have some type of an intake form. And on the intake form, they're going to take down various information. Who is their medical doctor? What is on the bottom of this form? What is their emergency information? And their billing information. If you're a medical massage therapist or some other form of practitioner or therapist, you might be billing. And they're going to write all of that down. Even if you're not billing insurance, the patient most likely may be trying to get reimbursed, or maybe their company or corporation will reimburse them for seeing you. So you're going to have this information somehow so that you can put together a coherent statement for the patient so that they can get reimbursed. I think earlier we talked about health savings accounts and how patients who would see you can pay for you under the health savings account, which is kind of like a 401k, but it's for healthcare. They can see you and they can they can take that money out of their health savings account, but they're going to have a record for the IRS in case they get audited. So this is a patient health history form. This specific one is for Scandinavian mobilization therapy, which is one of our forms of manual therapy at the academy. And again, it's just the information that we need to collect from patients. Are they allergic to anything, for example, can be very important, especially if we're holistic healthcare practitioner and maybe they're allergic to ragweed and we wanted to, tell them about chamomile tea, which is in the same group of herbs, and that can cause problems for people. Or maybe they have skin allergies, some kind of sensitivity to cosmetics or topical things or something like that. So you might want to know those things as well. So again, we collect this basic information, becomes part of our patient case file. Your forms, information, your forms file that's on your flash drive has a lot of this kind of stuff. Again, you have it in both Word and PDF. You can revise that any way you want to for your own practice, for your own needs. If you don't like any of that material, you can Google and you can find all kinds of stuff and then choose from that in terms of what you want to use. But everybody that's providing any kind of healthcare service, again, whether it's holistic healthcare, personal training, or massage therapy, has to collect basic information and keep a patient file. Very important that you do that. In the case of massage therapists in Michigan, by law, they have to do it. They don't have a choice. They must have this information on file. If, for example, you are sued by a client or a patient and you did not, keep records, then two things happen. One is you have no malpractice insurance because it's required under your malpractice and liability insurance. So if you don't keep anything, then you're just paying for malpractice liability insurance for nothing, because if you don't have any records, your insurance company's not going to cover you. Second is if you go to court and you have no records, then whatever the complainant, whatever your patient or client claims you did, you did. You have no voice at all because you didn't keep any records. So whatever the patient or client tells the court, the jury, or the judge is the truth. And you have nothing to say because you didn't keep any records. So records are very important. So the other thing that we have to have is a patient or a client treatment plan. There needs to be a coherent plan. It can't be just, we meet every week and we just do whatever. You actually have to have a plan. In terms of actual therapy, when insurance is involved, there's two things you have to do. There's two requirements you must meet. One is there must be a medical necessity for care, a diagnosis from a medical physician or a chiropractic physician. And two is you must get results, and you must have documented your results. You must meet those requirements for insurance reimbursement. And it's not unusual if you're billing insurance, auto insurance, or some other form of insurance for treatment, that they will request copies of your records so that they can look and see whether or not you're actually getting results. And if your case notes are not written properly, they're not reflective of the fact that you're actually benefiting or helping somebody, then their question is, why are we paying for this? And so you have to have records, and then your records have to document that there's a reason why the patient is being treated, a diagnosis. And then you have to actually demonstrate that you're getting results through your treatment. And so we have these patient treatment plans. And this is a little bit different for a personal trainer because they may not be dealing with somebody on a medical sense, although I got to tell you that increasingly more and more people are seeing personal trainers who have heart conditions, who are clinically or morbidly obese, who are diabetic and realize the importance of exercise. And as you know, all of these conditions are either the result of inflammation. And what happens with, for instance, obesity is it sets people up for all kinds of comorbidity factors or co-diseases. And so you get obesity, and then you get diabetes, and you get heart disease, and you get high blood pressure, and you just get thing laying upon thing, laying upon thing. And all of this, as we know, makes people more vulnerable to infection. So these are, very important issues, and a lot of people will go to a personal trainer and maybe get a health club membership, and many times paid for by their insurance carrier, by the way. And the insurance carriers will pay for a health club membership and a personal trainer. So you may also have to have a treatment plan that's laid out and designed. What is the plan for your patient? And how many times you're going to see them, and how long you're going to see them, and what are they going to do when you see them? What's the plan in terms of exercise? So you have to have all of those steps. So we do have, to develop these treatment plans. This is one for medical massage therapy. In biomedicine, we actually go over this in detail. We go over every step. We have our patient interview, we have our patient assessment, and then we begin our treatment protocols here. Then we start doing therapeutic modalities. Then we do topical applications further on in the treatment, because these are messy. We don't want to be doing them up here, getting them all over the place. So we do those here. Then we have our exercises, our passive range of motion exercises on the table, and then maybe something else, and who knows what that may be. So we have these treatment plans that we develop. So one of these, here's the patient's name. Here's the date that we did the plan. We don't have to do this every single time they come in, but we probably are going to do it the first time they come in. We're probably going to do it maybe, depending on how long we're going to treat them. It could be, maybe we're doing it 3 weeks later. So we do another one in 3 weeks because the condition is changing. Maybe we do another one in 6 weeks. Okay. So then here's your name and here's your date, because it's your plan basically down there. So we have one of these for acumyotherapy, and their skill sets are a little bit different, but everybody starts out with an interview. We've got to get information. We do an assessment, okay? And then we're doing our soft tissue preparation. We're doing acupressure. We're doing Chinese massage, which is Tui Na. We can put our exercises in here. This is usually what we're talking about here. And I think this is an older form. I think I revised this form. This is actually now saying yoga and Dao Yin and Tai Chi and all of that kind of stuff. So that's not actually in there anymore. Soft tissue modalities like light therapy, low-level laser therapy. So the acumyotherapists have a different set of skills in terms of what they do. They do heat, cold, and percussion. They do gua sha, moxibustion, and cupping, because this is all based actually on Asian medicine. And then we have our topical substances. They have zhengui shui, porcelain, red oil, which is red pepper, basically capsicum, and an oil blend, safflower oil blend. Volatile oil blends, that would be something like lavender oil and safflower oil, and castor oil. And then we might do medicated patches. We might do pressed pellets. So we have different ways in which we treat. So it's a little bit different than the medical massage therapist is doing. And then we go to holistic healthcare treatment plan. Okay, and so here on the front end, we got a very extensive interviewing process, because we tend to gather more information regarding health history and medical history and diagnosis and their complaint, and their family history of disease and all this kind of stuff, and really what are their needs and goals. And then we do the assessment. We do physical observation. We look at the medical history again. We look at the medical records that they have. Here, this is similar to what we would also do, by the way, in personal training, is we do biometric findings, which basically are body fat kinds of things, and their weight, and also girth measurements, vital signs, all of that kind of thing that we'd be doing up front here. Okay. And then we need a diet. We need a diet in here. So again, each of these is different depending upon the profession, depending upon the training that they have. Here we go into looking at what kind of bad behaviors or bad habits that they may have that would be compromising their health. So for most people, we're looking at, most Americans, I mean, the percentage is very high, We're looking at inflammation, we're looking at related to and secondary to chronic obesity, diabetes, things like that. And all that's related to food addiction. So food addiction is a key issue here. And food addiction is an addiction. And so what we're doing is we actually have an assessment scale here, an addiction scale. And we look at, see just how addicted is this person? Because that kind of tells us how likely the person is to be successful at implementing our recommendations. And then down here, we make our recommendations through here as well. And then we might have exercise recommendations right in here, which a personal trainer would do as well. So patient treatment plan. So all of this is involved in what's called patient management. Once we have these plans, then we meet with the patient to reinforce it. And that depends on, again, the patient's condition, what kinds of treatments we're doing with the patient, how often we need to meet. I mean, medical massage therapy, we could be seeing a patient 3 times a week. Personal training could be every day of the week. Acumyotherapy, it could be every day, it could be 3 days a week, it could be twice a week, once a week, well, whatever. Holistic healthcare, I make all these recommendations. Maybe all of this is done in a group class that I do every week. But maybe I don't see this patient again. I see him first week, I see him in 3 weeks, I see him in 6 weeks. You know, just depending on what you're doing in terms of working with the patient. So every patient's different. Every plan is different. There's not such thing as a universal or just a general plan for patients. But this is part of patient management. And then out of this comes compliance. Because if you make recommendations and the patient is not compliant or the client is not compliant, then obviously, you know, if you're not trying, if there's no action, then there's not going to be any results. So now I want to look at resources that you may have. I think we're getting close to the end here on this presentation, but I want to look at the resources with you a little bit. So Massage Warehouse, again, for massage therapists, acumyotherapists, anyone doing hands-on therapy, even a personal trainer doing table stretches and movement exercises with a patient is going to need some type of a treatment table. It could be a large stationary table in the case of doing, you know, passive table stretches and exercises on a patient, or it can be a folding table. If you're going out into corporations or out to different types of events, sporting events, you know, different types of, you know, health events, things like this, then you might want a portable table as well. And Massage Warehouse has all of this kind of stuff. They have oils, creams, and lotions, but you can read this as well as I can. You can see that they have a lot of different things that are available. Usually the pricing is pretty good. Also, if you are putting together your business plan, you want to go to a place like this and see what this stuff costs, start making your list and putting the prices next to it. So this is Mountain Rose Herbs. So this is where, you know, as a school, we tend to buy a lot of our products for our holistic healthcare class. And we find that they're a very good source of quality herbal products. And so you might want to check them out on their website, see what they have available. I mean, they not only have single herbs, but they also have, you know, the containers and things that you need to be able to process and make your own herbal medicines. So very valuable. This is among many different acupuncture supply places that are on the internet. This is one of the major ones here. Not just acupuncture though, but they also have herbs, and they also have massage therapy products as well. So you might want to check these guys out. I think I have another one on here as well. Let's take a look. Yeah, Lhasa OMS. So they have a number of things too. They have cupping supplies. They have moxa supplies. They have massage therapy supplies. So a lot of those things. So for the acumyotherapists that are listening to this, you know, this is another possible source, and probably all of you know, you probably Googled this enough now that you know that there are many sources in which you can get this kind of stuff. But over the years, Lhasa has been probably the main place that I have purchased products through. So, and what do we have here? Oh, this is a chiropractic source. But don't let that stop you, because they have very good products. They've got topical analgesics. They have hot and cold packs. They have pillows. They have tables. They have all kinds of stuff that I think some of this goes a little bit beyond what they have through the Massage Warehouse in terms of a little higher level of professionalism with a lot of their different products. So that's Chiro One Source. They have some really good cold packs too, by the way. So check them out in terms of resources. And so I think what we're trying to say here is you have a choice. Choose to be a success. So successful business people never quit. I'm personally successful in business because I refuse to quit. I often say I was just too dumb to know when to quit. And so, even today, I'm in my eighth decade of life, and I'm still too dumb to quit. A lot of people that I know, a lot of my friends and associates have long ago retired down in Florida playing golf. And my problem is I don't know how to quit. So I actually see that as a good thing. I think that retirement is a trap. I can't imagine why a person would retire from what they were meant to do in life. Why would you, when you're doing who and what you are in life, why would you ever quit that? How could you ever walk away from that and take a break? I can't comprehend it. Anyway, never quit. Choose to be a success. If you persevere, you will succeed. So this concludes part 1 and part 2 of the Blue Heron Academy business presentation. I do hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you gained something from it, and I do hope that it will help you in the future as you build your practice or your business. I wish you every success.